The vextary science vessel, Eternal Curiosity, hung silently in Earth's orbit, its crystalline hull refracting sunlight in rainbow patterns across its surface. Chief xenobiologist Xerax stood motionless before the observation window, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with what her species considered mild amusement as she studied the planet below. Another primitive civilization, she noted to her colleague, senior observer Kexthen, whose tendrils waved in agreement. Preliminary scans show they've barely mastered basic atomic theory. Their most advanced computers are laughably simple by our standards. The massive holographic display before them showed various human activities. Cities bustling with traffic, farmers tending their fields, children playing in parks. All perfectly ordinary scenes for a developing species still finding its way to the stars. They're remarkably fragile, Kexthen observed, manipulating the display to show human biological data. No natural armor, minimal sensory capabilities, vulnerable to temperature extremes, requiring constant sustenance and rest. It's remarkable they've survived this long. Xerax's attention shifted to a series of readings that particularly interested her, and yet, she mused, they'd spread to every corner of their world. From frozen wastelands to scorching deserts, their adaptability is noteworthy. Mere technology, Kexthen dismissed. Any species can build environmental suits and shelters. The vextary mastered such basic innovations millions of cycles ago. Below them, in a seemingly unremarkable military base in Montana, Captain Sarah Chen watched the alien vessel through the world's most powerful telescope. Unlike the aliens above, she wasn't dismissing anything. Her team had been tracking the vessel since it entered the solar system, analyzing every scrap of data they could gather. Their hull composition is unlike anything we've ever seen, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across his console. It seems to be some kind of crystalline structure, but it's absorbing our radar and lidar scans in ways that defy physics as we understand it. Chen nodded, her expression unchanged, but her mind racing. Keep recording everything. Every frequency they emit, every pattern in their movement. If they're watching us, we're watching them right back. Back on the Eternal Curiosity, Xerax had moved on to analyzing human social structures. Their conflict resolution systems are fascinating, she noted. They've developed complex hierarchies and rules to prevent their obvious violent tendencies from destroying their civilization. As expected for a species with no natural defenses, Kexthen responded. They must rely on social cooperation to survive. Mark them as Category 3 developing species, suitable for eventual contact in perhaps another century, when they've matured enough to handle the truth about galactic civilization. But something in the data caught Xerax's attention, something that made her bioluminescence flicker with uncertainty. These readings, their adrenaline response times are extraordinary, and their problem-solving patterns, they're unlike anything in our database. Irrelevant, Kexthen declared. Their physical limitations make them no threat to advanced species like ourselves. They'll make excellent clients once they're properly civilized, perhaps useful for solving simple puzzles or maintaining basic equipment. In Montana, Captain Chen was reaching a very different conclusion. Her team had been compiling data not just on the alien vessel, but on the aliens themselves. Every scan they attempted, successful or not, revealed something about their observers' capabilities and limitations. They're systematic, Chen muttered, studying the patterns. Too systematic. They follow predictable protocols, never deviating, never adapting. Their technology is incredible, but their thinking. She let the thought hang in the air. Their scanning patterns suggest they've already categorized us, Rodriguez added. They're only looking for confirmation of their existing assumptions. Chen smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Good. Let them assume. Let them think they know exactly what we are and what we're capable of. History has taught us that underestimating humans is always a costly mistake. As the Eternal Curiosity prepared to depart Earth's orbit, Xerax filed her final report, page after page of detailed analysis, all pointing to one conclusion. Humans were a fascinating but ultimately unremarkable species, still centuries away from being ready for true galactic civilization. But in her private notes, encrypted and stored in her personal database, she added one final observation. They watch us watching them. They learn from every interaction, adapt to every situation. And most concerningly, they let us think we know everything about them while revealing nothing about themselves. Perhaps we should be asking not what humans are capable of now, but what they might become when they realize they're not alone in the universe. The eternal curiosity disappeared into hyperspace, leaving Earth behind. But humanity's first contact with alien life hadn't gone unnoticed by either side. The aliens left confident in their assessment of a primitive species. The humans began preparing for a future they now knew was coming, armed with the knowledge that the galaxy's most advanced civilization had dramatically underestimated them. And in the depths of space, Xerax's encrypted warning sat unread, its implications unexamined. The first piece of evidence that humanity's greatest strength might not be their technology or their physical capabilities, but their ability to let others underestimate them until it was too late. 6 months after the Vexteri's initial observation, the Galactic Council's Integration Committee convened in their crystalline chamber. Holographic displays showed Earth from multiple angles, each screen focused on different aspects of human civilization. But it was the latest incident report that held everyone's attention. Supreme Counselor Nextvor, their crystalline form towering over the others, reviewed the data with increasing concern. Explain to me again how a single human mining vessel survived an encounter with a Category 6 space anomaly when 3 of our own research ships were lost to similar phenomena. The human vessel in question, the MSV Hawking, had been detected by long-range sensors when it strayed into what the Vexteri classified as a deadly radiation zone. Rather than being destroyed, the ship had not only survived but managed to collect valuable data about the phenomenon. Their solution was unconventional, reported junior analyst Veltix, their bioluminescent patterns flickering with confusion. Instead of relying on energy shields like our vessels, they'd redirected their wastewater system to create a primitive but effective radiation barrier. When that began to fail, they used their mining equipment to collect space debris and create an additional physical shield. Improvisation. Dismissed senior observer Kexthen, who had been promoted after his initial Earth assessment. Simple survival instincts, nothing more. Any species faced with death will attempt to survive. But in the secure depths of the Pentagon, General Isabella Martinez watched the classified footage of the Hawking's encounter with satisfaction. The mining vessel had accomplished its mission perfectly, demonstrating human ingenuity while appearing to stumble upon the solution by desperate chance. The Vexteri rely too heavily on their advanced technology, she noted to her assembled staff. They've forgotten how to solve problems without it. Every time they encounter something their technology can't handle, they retreat. We adapt. The screens before her showed dozens of similar incidents occurring across human space. A survey team surviving conditions that should have been lethal. Construction workers finding innovative solutions to structural problems that baffled alien engineers. Each case carefully orchestrated to appear coincidental while revealing critical information about alien capabilities and limitations. On the Galactic Council station, Xerax, now promoted to senior xenobiologist, found herself increasingly preoccupied with human behavioral patterns. They're learning too quickly, she reported to a nearly empty chamber, most of her colleagues having dismissed her concerns. Every encounter with our technology, every interaction with our species, they absorb and adapt the information at rates that defy our models. She pulled up footage of a recent cultural exchange program. Human students, supposedly learning about alien art, had managed to deduce the fundamental principles of Vexteri crystalline technology just by studying decorative patterns. Their questions, seemingly naive, had revealed a deep understanding of concepts they shouldn't have been able to grasp. In a hidden facility beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Marcus Wong reviewed the latest data stolen from Vexteri databases. Their crystalline technology, once thought impenetrable, had proven vulnerable to vibrations matching the resonant frequencies of their storage systems. Frequencies that human scientists had discovered by accidentally playing music near alien artifacts. They think their technology is so advanced it's impossible for us to understand, Wong mused, watching his team test new weapons based on their discoveries. They don't realize that humanity's greatest advantage is our ability to understand our own limitations and find ways around them. The Galactic Council's assessment of humanity remained unchanged. Regular reports classified them as an intelligent but physically limited species, their technological progress noteworthy but unremarkable. But beneath the surface, both sides were preparing for a confrontation they saw coming from very different perspectives. In her private quarters, Xerex added another encrypted note to her growing database of concerns. They're not just adapting to our technology. They're adapting to us. Every weakness we perceive in them becomes a strength. Their limited lifespan drives them to achieve more in decades than we accomplish in centuries. Their physical fragility has taught them to find creative solutions our species never considered. And most troubling, they understand us far better than we understand them. As her words disappeared into the encrypted depths of her personal files, humans across the galaxy continued their careful dance of calculated incompetence. Every stumble revealed alien weaknesses. Every apparent mistake tested alien responses. Every seeming coincidence added to humanity's growing understanding of their galaxy's true power dynamics. And in the Pentagon, General Martinez approved another series of accidental encounters designed to probe alien defenses. Let them think we're lucky, she told her staff. Let them believe we survive by chance, because the moment they realize that humans don't just adapt to survive, but to dominate, it will already be too late. The Galactic Council's decision to include humans in the multi-species defense exercise was met with minimal concern. After all, how much trouble could a Category 3 species cause in a carefully controlled training scenario? The massive space station Harmonious Unity hung in neutral space, its crystalline corridors filled with representatives from 24 advanced civilizations. Fleet Commander Texral of the Vexteri stood proudly on the command deck, watching as various species ships maneuvered through the training exercises. The humans have been assigned to support Group Delta, he informed his staff. Simple logistics and maintenance duties, nothing that could overwhelm their limited capabilities. The human contingent, led by Commander Diana Jackson, had arrived in what the aliens considered adorably primitive vessels. Their ships' hulls were thick and ungainly, their weapons systems obvious and unrefined. Everything about them screamed technological inferiority. "Thank you for including us in these exercises," Jackson said during the opening ceremony, her humility perfectly calculated. "We have so much to learn from your advanced civilizations." Behind her, her crew maintained expressions of wide-eyed wonder at the alien technology surrounding them. The first phase of the exercise involved defending against simulated space pirates. The advanced species deployed their energy shields and quantum weapons, their ships dancing through space with elegant precision. The human vessels lumbered behind, providing basic support services and staying well clear of the combat zones. But in her private command center, Jackson was running a very different exercise. Every alien ship movement was being analyzed. Every weapon's discharge revealed energy signatures and response times. Every communication pattern was recorded and decoded. "Their tactical doctrine is completely rigid," she noted to her executive officer. "They fight exactly the way they train, never deviating from established protocols. And look at their ship formations. They're optimized for their advanced technology, but they leave gaps that older, simpler weapons could exploit." The exercise's second phase introduced a surprise element, a simulated chemical weapon attack on the station. The advanced species immediately deployed their standard countermeasures, complex energy fields designed to neutralize any known threat. The human response appeared chaotic in comparison. They sealed their ships using what seemed to be primitive physical barriers, their crews donning what the aliens viewed as Arctic protective suits. Several alien observers actually laughed at the sight. But Zorax, watching from her research station, noticed something disturbing. The human protective measures, while appearing primitive, were actually more effective than the advanced energy fields. Their archaic suits could handle a wider range of threats, and their physical barriers weren't vulnerable to power failures. They're not copying our advanced solutions, she realized with growing unease. They're developing parallel technologies that serve the same purpose but can't be disrupted by the same means. Why would a species do that unless? She never finished the thought. The exercise's final phase was beginning, a complex scenario involving multiple simultaneous threats. The advanced species deployed their most impressive technologies, their ships coordinating with perfect precision. Then everything went wrong. A power surge, apparently caused by a malfunction in the station's crystalline core, disrupted every energy-based system in the exercise area. Ships relying on quantum fields and energy shields suddenly found themselves blind and vulnerable. Communication networks operating on subspace frequencies went dark. Only the human vessels, with their primitive backup systems and physical failsafes, remained fully operational. "This is Commander Jackson to all vessels." Her voice came through on simple radio waves, a technology so old most alien ships had forgotten they could receive it. "We're picking up multiple ships experiencing systems failures. We're moving to assist." For the next hour, the humans demonstrated their true capabilities. Their ships, far more maneuverable than they had appeared, coordinated with practiced efficiency. Their crews, supposedly inexperienced with alien technology, diagnosed and repaired complex systems with suspicious speed. "How fortunate that we maintained such basic systems," Jackson commented to the alien commanders after the crisis had passed. "Sometimes older technology is more reliable in an emergency." But in her private report to Earth Command, her assessment was far different. "The exercise confirmed our theories about their technological dependencies. Their advanced systems are powerful but fragile. They've forgotten the fundamental principles their technology is built on, relying on automation they don't fully understand." In the Galactic Council's after-action review, Commander Texral praised the humans' performance. They showed admirable dedication to their support duties. He noted, still seeing what he expected to see. "With proper guidance, they may advance more quickly than we anticipated." Only Zorax, adding another encrypted note to her growing database, saw the truth. "They weren't learning from us during the exercise," she wrote. "They were studying us, testing our responses, probing our weaknesses, all while appearing to merely assist. The humans understand something that we've forgotten. True power isn't just about having advanced technology, but about understanding the fundamental principles behind it." As the human ships departed the exercise area, Jackson allowed herself a small smile. The invasion plans being drawn up back on Earth had just been validated. The galaxy's most advanced civilizations had no idea that their greatest threat wasn't from their technological equals, but from the supposedly primitive species they'd welcomed into their midst. The Galactic Council's emergency session convened amid growing unrest. The massive crystalline chamber, normally a symbol of order and stability, now thrummed with nervous energy as representatives from advanced civilizations gathered to discuss a series of troubling incidents. Supreme Counselor Nex4's crystalline form pulsed with agitation as the evidence was presented. "In the past solar cycle, human vessels have been present at 37 critical events across our space. Each time, they appeared to accidentally discover solutions that our finest minds couldn't formulate." The holographic display showed footage of these events. A human cargo ship using modified mining equipment to seal a quantum rupture that had baffled Vexteri scientists. A human maintenance crew discovering a way to neutralize a devastating computer virus by implementing what they called ancient fail-safes. A human medical team developing a cure for a devastating plague using primitive biological techniques when advanced genetic manipulation had failed. Senior observer Kexthen, his reputation now staked on his early assessment of humanity, tried to maintain his position. "These are merely examples of primitive survival instincts coupled with random chance. Their solutions are crude, inelegant. Their solutions work, interrupted Zorax, her bioluminescence pulsing with intensity. And not just occasionally. They succeed in scenarios where our most advanced technologies fail. That's not chance. That's a pattern. In the depths of the Pentagon, General Martinez reviewed the latest intelligence with grim satisfaction. The aliens were finally starting to ask questions, but they were still asking the wrong ones. They worried about human solutions without understanding human strategy. "Show me the deployment map," she ordered, and a holographic display revealed hundreds of human ships and installations scattered across alien space, each one positioned with careful deliberation, each crew trained to appear less capable than they were, each mission designed to test alien responses while gathering critical intelligence. On the harmonious Unity station, Commander Diana Jackson led her newest cultural exchange team through the alien facility. Her wide-eyed crew asked carefully crafted questions about alien technology, each inquiry designed to fill specific gaps in human understanding. "Your quantum communication systems are amazing," one ensign gushed, while his neural implant recorded precise technical specifications. "We can barely maintain basic faster-than-light communications." The alien instructor, pleased by their apparent awe, failed to notice how each question built upon the last, gradually assembling a complete picture of the system's vulnerabilities. The humans had learned early that appearing earnestly curious but slightly confused was the perfect cover for intelligence gathering. Back in the council chamber, Xerax finally voiced the concern that had been growing in her mind for years. "We need to consider the possibility that we fundamentally misunderstood human psychology from the beginning. We assumed their physical limitations and technological inequality made them harmless. But what if those very limitations are what make them dangerous?" She pulled up new data, patterns that had been overlooked in all previous assessments. Look at their history. Every time they encountered a superior force, they didn't try to match it directly. They found ways around it. They developed countermeasures that seemed primitive but were devastatingly effective. In his private laboratory beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Wong activated the prototype weapon his team had developed. It looked crude by alien standards, all exposed circuits and mechanical components, but when activated, it emitted a precise frequency that could shatter Vextari crystalline technology while leaving human systems untouched. "They think we're trying to catch up to their technology," he told his team as they documented the successful test. "They don't realize we're developing ways to render it useless." The council's debate grew heated as more evidence was presented. Humans had been quietly establishing bases throughout alien space, always with permission, always for seemingly innocent purposes. They had integrated themselves into vital support roles across multiple species' infrastructures. Their ships might be less advanced, but they were everywhere. "We need to act," one council member declared. "Restrict their access. Limit their expansion." "It's too late," Zarax interrupted, her bioluminescence now pulsing with alarm. "Don't you see? Every restriction we place on them becomes another challenge for them to overcome. Every limitation we enforce teaches them something new about our capabilities. They don't think like us. They don't solve problems like us, and that's precisely what makes them so dangerous." As the council argued, humanity's carefully laid plans continued to unfold. Each human ship, each installation, each diplomatic mission was a piece in a vast strategic puzzle. The aliens saw humans as adapting to join their civilization. They didn't realize that humanity was preparing to reshape that civilization from within. In her secure command center, General Martinez received word that the council had finally begun to suspect something was amiss. She allowed herself a small smile. "They're starting to see the pattern," she told her staff. "But they still don't understand what it means. They're looking for a threat that matches their understanding of power, something big, advanced, obvious. They don't realize that humanity's greatest weapon has always been our ability to turn their strengths into weaknesses." The pieces were in place. The intelligence had been gathered. Humanity had spent years letting the galaxy's most advanced civilizations teach them everything about their technologies. their strategies, their weaknesses, all while appearing to be nothing more than an eager, primitive species trying to learn from their betters. The storm was coming, and only humanity was truly prepared for it. The attack came from nowhere, a devastating strike against the heart of Vexteri civilization. The Eternal Harmony, pride of the Galactic Council's defense fleet, found itself facing an enemy unlike anything their advanced civilization had ever encountered. The Nexus, a brutal species that had evolved in the galaxy's radiation-soaked core. The Nexus ships, massive and seemingly primitive, shrugged off quantum weapons like rain. Their crude but powerful weapons tore through energy shields as if they didn't exist. The Vexteri's perfect formations, their elegant battle strategies, their advanced technology, all proved useless against an enemy that didn't fight according to their rules. In the Council's Emergency Command Center, Supreme Counselor Nexfor watched in horror as defensive line after defensive line crumbled. How is this possible? Our technology is superior in every way. Their technology isn't superior, Zarax realized, watching the battle unfold. It's different. They evolved in conditions we considered impossible. They don't think like us, don't fight like us. Just like. Her voice trailed off as Commander Diana Jackson strode into the command center, all pretense of wide-eyed curiosity gone. Her bearing was pure military precision, her expression that of a predator finally revealing itself. "The Galactic Council requires immediate assistance," Jackson announced, her voice carrying an authority that made even the crystalline beings vibrate in response. "Earth stands ready to help." Across Council space, human ships and installations suddenly transformed. Hidden weapons came online. Primitive hulls reconfigured to reveal sophisticated combat systems, unlike anything the aliens had seen. Years of careful preparation revealed themselves in an instant. "You knew," Zarax whispered, her bioluminescence flickering with understanding. "You knew something like this was coming. All those accidents, all those primitive solutions, you were preparing for this moment." Jackson's smile was cold. "We understood something you forgot long ago. True survival isn't about having the most advanced technology. It's about being ready for anything. While you were perfecting your quantum weapons, we were developing countermeasures for every possible threat." The human fleet engaged the Nexus forces with devastating effectiveness. Their ships, appearing to use crude kinetic weapons, were actually deploying precisely calibrated attacks based on years of studying alien technologies. Each shot, each maneuver, demonstrated an understanding of warfare that transcended technological advancement. "Your ships are still primitive compared to ours," Kex then protested, watching human vessels execute impossible maneuvers. "Your weapons are based on basic physics principles." "Exactly." General Martinez's voice came through the command channel as her flagship led another devastating attack run. "We never tried to match your technology. We developed our own path, one that couldn't be countered by the same means. We studied every species we encountered, learned their weaknesses, and prepared for the day when facing an enemy that your advanced technology couldn't handle." The battle turned. Human ships, positioned throughout Council space through years of careful planning, coordinated with perfect precision. Their primitive weapons proved devastatingly effective against both the Nexus ships and their quantum-based attacks. Their simple defense systems adapted to each new threat with suspicious speed. In the aftermath, as the Nexus fleet retreated in disarray, the Council chamber was silent. The most advanced civilizations in known space faced a shocking realization. They had completely misunderstood humanity's true nature. "You never needed our help to advance," Zarax said quietly to Jackson. "You were studying us, learning our weaknesses, preparing for threats we couldn't even imagine. Humanity learned long ago that true strength isn't about being the biggest or most advanced," Jackson replied. "It's about being the most adaptable. Every limitation you saw in us was actually an advantage. Our short lives taught us to think faster, act quicker. Our physical weaknesses taught us to find solutions beyond brute force. Our primitive technology taught us to understand fundamental principles that your civilization has forgotten. In the depths of the Pentagon, General Martinez sent the final encrypted message to all human forces: Operation Revelation complete. The galaxy now understands what it means to underestimate humanity. The Galactic Council's classification of humanity was officially changed that day. But it wasn't their technology level or their military capabilities that earned them their new status. It was the realization that they had accomplished something far more impressive. They had let themselves be underestimated by the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, all while preparing for threats those civilizations couldn't even imagine. Humanity had proven that true power wasn't about having the most advanced technology or the strongest natural abilities. It was about understanding that every weakness could become a strength, every limitation could drive innovation, and sometimes the most dangerous predator was the one that let itself appear to be prey. In her final report before retiring, Xerax wrote words that would be studied by alien civilizations for generations to come. We thought we were helping a primitive species advance. Instead, they were teaching us a lesson we had forgotten: that the most dangerous species in the galaxy isn't the one with the most advanced technology, but the one that never stops adapting, never stops learning, and never reveals its true potential until it's too late to matter.